How many ramen noodle packs would fit inside a college dorm mini fridge? Follow to the end of this video to find out. You're sitting in your dorm room studying for finals, knee-deep in textbooks. A thought abruptly breaks your focus. It isn't about Pythagorean theorem or Shakespeare's sonnets. Instead, you ponder, how many packs of ramen can I cram into my mini fridge? Because let's be honest, that's the kind of meal plan college appetite needs. Hold that thought. What's more thrilling than turning maths into a noodle stravaganza? According to some very intellectual calculations, which I've done using a tape measure and an empty fridge, here's what I found. The edible equivalent of a dorm room survival guide has approximate dimensions of 1.5 inches in thickness, 4 inches wide, 5 inches long. On the other hand, your chili haven stands at about 16 inches tall, 14 inches wide, 12 inches deep. Scrolling through the IKEA catalog was so fun. This is where the noodle magic trick begins. Align 1.5-inch thickness along the fridge's 14-inch width, the 4-inch noodle width along the 12-inch fridge depth, and the 5-inch noodle length along the 16-inch fridge height. Let's do some ramen equations. Divide the fridge dimensions by the ramen dimensions, and we get about 9 packs across width, 3 packs along depth, and 3 packs along height, because the grand total comes to approximately 81 packs of instant gratification. I bet now you're thinking about buying a second fridge just for your ramen stash, or maybe just wondering how you can get 81 packs delivered by tomorrow's study session. But remember, not everything that can fit in should. So there you have it. 81 packs of ramen can find their chilly home inside a college dorm mini fridge. How many pet goldfish would equal the weight of a Great Dane? Stick with me to the end to find out. So you have transformed your living room into an aquarium paradise. And as you curiously observe your golden pet fishies, a thought strikes. You glance at your Great Dane sprawled on the couch, drooling on your pillows. You wonder, how many goldfish would weigh the same as my canine gargantuan? An ordinary question for any aquadog enthusiast, I reckon. As per a semi-decent source, possibly the neighborhood vet, fully grown male Great Danes can weigh about 140 to 175 pounds. Now, that's comparable to a baby elephant or the amount of popcorn I consume on a movie night. Meanwhile, your confetti-sized, slim-fit goldfish sitting at home is about 50 grams. Give or take a few flakes. That's less than half the weight of a baseball. Time to show off our mathematical prowess. We will divide the 63.5 kilograms of our Great Dane by 0.05 kilograms of your home aquarium's floating gold nuggets to find the answer. Roll the drum. And the answer is 1,270. You would need a jaw-dropping number of 1,270 goldfish to match the weight of a majestic Great Dane. Guess your goldfish school just got a whole lot bigger. So next time when you're at the pet shop wondering if you should get another goldfish because you only have, say, 1,269 at home, remember? One more, and you've got a Great Dane's worth of fish? How many Lego Death Stars would it take to outweigh a real space satellite? Stick around until the end of this video so we can help you finally silence those pesky questions that keep you up at night. So imagine this. You're building your third Lego Death Star in your home office, amidst all the video meetings notifications, and you, in your caffeine-deprived stupor, get struck with a thought. How many of these would it take to outweigh an actual space satellite? A totally typical question that logically follows building a Lego Death Star, right? And naturally, you put down that miniature Vader and rush off to solve the mystery, no? Just me? According to my highly diligent research, also known as quick Google searches, a Lego Death Star weighs about 10 kilograms, and our average unassuming space satellite typically weighs in at about 1,000 kilograms. Super lightweight, right? That's like, I don't know, an adult polar bear? Let's do the math. Because we all miss those thrilling algebra classes from high school, am I right? Divide our satellite weight, 1,000 kilograms, by our Lego Death Star weight, 10 kilograms, and voila! We get about 100 Lego Death Stars. Yes, you heard it right, family. You'd need to stack 100 of those miniature galactic orbs with evil laser beams to match the weight of your run-of-the-mill space satellite. Now let me guess. You're now debating which Lego set to buy next to equal the weight of the International Space Station? Or what about the Golden Gate Bridge? For me, I'm left with Lego pieces up to the height of a garden gnome. I have some catching up to do. Let's be honest here, having any excuse to buy more Lego sounds good to me. So there you have it, folks. Roughly 100 Lego Death Stars would weigh the same as your average space satellite. How many Tesla supercharger stations would it take to power Disneyland for a day? Picture yourself at Disneyland, ready to ride Space Mountain, and suddenly you wonder, how much energy does it take to keep this magical kingdom sparkly and electric? Totally normal thought, right? But hold on to your Mickey ears because we're diving into the numbers to find out. First, let's tackle the energy consumption of Disneyland. On average, this enchanting place consumes around 200 gigawatt hours a year. That breaks down to about 547 megawatt hours a day. Now that's a lot of churros. Next, we need to assess Tesla's supercharger stations. Each supercharger can deliver up to 250 kilowatts, but let's be realistic. Most operate for about 4 hours a day, giving us about 1 megawatt hour per port. Multiply that by the 20 ports on a station, and you get roughly 20 megawatt hours per day. Now, divide Disneyland's daily energy consumption by the energy delivered by one supercharger station, and you find yourself needing about 28 stations under realistic conditions. But wait, let's factor in efficiency losses and the peak demand. We round this up to around 32 stations. How many pairs of Yeezys would it take to cover the floor of a standard one-bedroom apartment? We've all had those moments, right? You're lounging around your apartment in a pair of your favorite Yeezys, and suddenly you wonder, what if my entire floor was made of Yeezys instead of this boring old carpet? Let's face it, it's not exactly a normal thought, but who doesn't want their life to be one giant runway? So let's dive in. A standard one-bedroom apartment is roughly 750 square feet, perfect for a chill vibe or, a massive Yeezy installation. Now, a pair of Yeezy Boost 350S covers about 0.722 square feet. So, when you do the math, you need about 1,038 pairs to cover that space. But wait, before you start turning your living room into a sneaker paradise, we have to account for real-world constraints like furniture and shape irregularities. After putting this into consideration, the number rises to about 1,051 pairs. So let's just round it up to 1,100 pairs to be safe. Just think about it. A sea of Yeezys on your floor will not only be a sight to behold, but also a pending disaster for anyone trying to walk around. And just for fun, with each pair costing about $200, that's a solid $220,000 luxury floor. So there you have it. If you want to transform your standard one-bedroom into a Yeezy exhibition, you'll need around 1,100 pairs. How many Lego heads to match the weight of a soccer ball? Lace up, because today we're pitting plastic noggins against the king of the pitch. Let's kick this off. A regulation soccer ball weighs about 430 grams. That's your classic FIFA-approved goal-smashing globe of air and leather. Now, a single Lego head, the yellow cylindrical kind every minifig wears with pride, weighs around 0.55 grams. It may not have thoughts, but it's got mass. So how many of these tiny grinning helmets do you need to equal the weight of one soccer ball? Let's divide it out. 430 grams divided by 0.55 grams per Lego head equals 782 Lego heads. That's right, 782 tiny plastic heads to go toe-to-toe with one soccer ball. Imagine a stadium full of fans, but it's just piles of heads, no bodies, just a chaotic sea of smiling, interchangeable baldness. And no, they can't kick back, but stack them right, and you've got one oddly shaped, very uncomfortable soccer substitute. So there you have it, 782 Lego heads to match the weight of one soccer ball. A yellow army equalizer, 1 gram at a time. How many McDonald's Happy Meal toys would you need to outweigh an adult golden retriever? Picture this. You're sitting on your couch surrounded by piles of Happy Meal toys instead of doing literally anything productive, and a light bulb goes off. You wonder how many of these nostalgic plastic treasures it would take to tip the scales in favor of man's and woman's best friend, the golden retriever. Let's dive into this whimsical quest and find out how many toys we're talking about. First off, the average adult golden retriever weighs around 30 kilograms, or about 66 pounds, perfectly fluffy and ready for belly rubs. Now, the average Happy Meal toy weighs about 50 grams, which is just enough to make you think you should have bought the salad instead. So here comes the fun part. We want to find out how many of these tiny toys it would take to outweigh our furry friend. Doing a quick calculation, you'll need more than 600 Happy Meal toys to lap the mass of a golden retriever. Just imagine trying to store that many toys. Your living room would look like a plastic explosion, and your friends would have serious questions about your life choices. So, in conclusion, you'll need 600 Happy Meal toys to match the weight of an adult golden retriever. How many packs of Pokemon cards would it take to wallpaper the inside of a Tesla Model 3? As you're imagining yourself slowly driving your new Tesla, admiring the sleek design, you suddenly think, what if I could turn this magical car into a Pokemon paradise? Totally normal, right? I mean, who wouldn't want a Pikachu plastered across their dashboard? Let's dive into the numbers behind this delightful fantasy. First things first, how much interior surface area does a Tesla Model 3 have? After a little math magic, we estimate the total area to be around 14 square meters. That's enough space to showcase all your favorite Pokemon. Everyone needs that affirmation when stuck in traffic. Now, let's talk packs. A standard Pokemon card pack measures roughly 0.005544 square meters. Fancy, huh? Now for the real fun, let's do some math. If we take our total 14 square meters and divide it by the area of one pack, we get, drumroll please, about 2,526 packs of Pokemon cards required to turn your Tesla into a themed wonderland. But wait, to account for overlaps and mistakes, we should bump that up to about 2,905 packs. Now, if you're mentally calculating a Pokemon card fortune, you're looking at around $11,620 to make your Pokemon wallpaper dream a reality. So even though this sounds like a blast, ponder this. Do you want Pikachu giving side-eye every time you downshift? There you have it. To wallpaper your Tesla with Pokemon cards, you'd need around 2,905 packs. How many Squishmallows would fit inside a New York City studio apartment? Picture this. You're in your cozy 500-square-foot NYC studio, sipping coffee while pondering why you're not squishing your way into a collection of adorable plush toys instead of tidying up. Suddenly, the big question hits you. How many Squishmallows could I possibly fit in here? Trust me, this is a totally relatable thought when you're trying to justify your obsession with super soft, squishy cuteness. But let's dive in and find out. First off, a typical New York City studio has about 4,250 cubic feet of space. Perfect for living, but not so ideal for hoarding plush toys. Now, let's talk Squishmallows. Each one is roughly the size of a basketball, with a volume of about 0.299 cubic feet. So far, so cute, right? But wait, before your mind runs wild with visions of a plush paradise, we need to consider the furniture. With a bed, kitchenette, and the occasional lonely chair, about 1,000 cubic feet of your apartment is already taken up. Talk about a space hog. Now it's time for some math magic. After subtracting that furniture volume from our total, we're left with about 3,250 cubic feet. Accounting for packing efficiency, because we're not out to win a game of Tetris here, let's say we can actually use around 1,625 cubic feet for our beloved squishies. Dividing that by the Squishmallows volume gives us a theoretical max of around 5,444 Squishmallows. But hold on, if you actually want to walk around, maybe prioritize your couch over a plush avalanche, you'll realistically fit somewhere between 500 to 1,000 Squishmallows in this apartment without turning it into a full-blown plush jungle. So there you have it, folks. While you could theoretically squeeze in over 5,000, let's keep it cozy and realistic at about 500 to 1,000 Squishmallows, enough to wrap yourself in softness without losing your sanity. How many kittens would it take to match the weight of a lion? Imagine this. You're playing with a bundle of kittens, and suddenly your mind drifts to the king of the jungle. You look at those tiny fur balls and wonder, how many of these adorable little creatures would it take to equal the weight of a lion? A perfectly normal thought, right? Well, let's get to the bottom of this feline mystery. First, let's look at our mighty lion. According to reputable sources, by which I mean the internet, a fully grown male lion weighs around 420 pounds. That's about the weight of 100 bowling balls, or all the snacks I've eaten since last weekend. Now let's compare that to your average kitten. A 6-month-old kitten, a good middle ground age for this calculation, weighs about 6 pounds. Tiny but mighty in cuteness. Here comes the fun part, doing the math. To figure out how many kittens would equal the lion's weight, we divide 420 pounds, the lion's weight, by 6 pounds, the weight of a single kitten. When we do this, the answer is 70 kittens. That's right, you'd need 70 kittens to match the weight of one lion. Now imagine this, a pride of 70 kittens sitting together, purring and plotting their adorable takeover of the Serengeti. Forget roaring. This group would be meowing their way into the jungle hierarchy. But wait, what if these weren't 6-month-old kittens? Let's go smaller. A newborn kitten weighs only about 0.2 pounds. To calculate, we divide the lion's weight of 420 pounds by the 0.2 pound weight of a newborn kitten. And the answer? Over 2,000 kittens. Yes, 2,100 newborn kittens to be exact. That's a mountain of fluff that could rival even the most majestic mane. So, whether it's 70 adolescent kittens or 2,100 newborns, one lion is a whole lot of feline. Just think, if these kittens teamed up, they might not have the lion's roar, but they'd definitely win in sheer adorableness. And there you have it, 70 kittens to match the weight of a lion, or over 2,000 newborns if you're feeling ambitious. How many milkshakes would it take to fill a hot tub? Imagine this. You're lounging by a hot tub, sipping on a milkshake, and a totally normal thought strikes you. What if I filled this entire hot tub with milkshakes? How many would it take to make this creamy dream a reality? Let's dive into this delicious calculation. First, let's size up the hot tub. A standard hot tub holds about 400 gallons of water, which is roughly 1,514 liters for those who prefer metric measurements. Now let's talk about our milkshakes. A typical milkshake from your favorite diner comes in a 16-ounce cup, which is equal to 0.125 gallons or about 473 milliliters. Here comes the fun part, math. To figure out how many milkshakes we'd need, we divide the total volume of the hot tub, 400 gallons, by the volume of a single milkshake, which is 0.125 gallons. The answer? 3,200 milkshakes. Yes, you'd need a whopping 3,200 milkshakes to fill a standard hot tub. That's enough milkshakes to serve a small town or create the most extravagant ice cream party ever imagined. But wait, what about the cost? Let's say the average milkshake costs about $5. Multiply that by 3,200, and you're looking at $16,000 to turn your hot tub into a dairy-filled paradise. That's a lot of cash for a lactose-laden soak. And then there's the flavor debate. Should it be classic vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, or maybe a layered Neapolitan hot tub for the indecisive among us? Imagine the swirls of colors and the sweet aroma filling the air. It's a dessert lover's dream. Of course, there's the cleanup to consider. Milkshakes are sticky, and once the party's over, draining and cleaning the tub would be less than sweet. But hey, every great experiment comes with challenges, right? So there you have it. 3,200 milkshakes and $16,000 to turn your hot tub into a frothy, creamy wonderland. How many light bulbs would it take to illuminate the Grand Canyon? Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, marveling at its vastness as the sun sets. Darkness creeps in, and a wild thought strikes you. What if we lit this entire canyon with light bulbs? How many would it take? Let's light up this mystery together. First, let's talk about the Grand Canyon. Its total volume is estimated at a staggering 1 trillion cubic meters. But don't worry, we don't need to fill it with light bulbs. Just illuminate its vast surfaces. The visible area of the canyon's walls and floors approximately 30,000 square kilometers, or 30 billion square meters. That's a lot of rock to light up. Now, let's talk about light bulbs. A standard 60-watt bulb can illuminate about 20 square meters effectively. That's roughly the size of a small living room. So, to find out how many bulbs we'd need, we divide the canyon's total visible surface area, 30 billion square meters, by the coverage of one bulb, which is 20 square meters. Here comes the math. 30 billion divided by 20 equals 1.5 billion light bulbs. That's right, you'd need a whopping 1.5 billion light bulbs to light up the entire Grand Canyon. Now let's put this into perspective. If each light bulb costs $1, this project would set you back $1.5 billion, and that's not even counting the electricity bill. Speaking of electricity, running all those bulbs would require around 90 gigawatts of power per hour. For context, that's more than the energy usage of some small countries. But imagine the sight, a glowing canyon stretching as far as the eye can see, sparkling like the world's largest natural chandelier. Of course, the light pollution would be visible from space, and astronomers everywhere might file a complaint. So there you have it, 1.5 billion light bulbs to illuminate the Grand Canyon, turning one of nature's wonders into the ultimate nighttime spectacle. How many teaspoons of glitter would it take to coat an entire amusement park? Imagine this. You're walking through an amusement park, marveling at the roller coasters, Ferris wheels, and all the carnival magic. Then, a sparkly thought crosses your mind. What if we coated this entire park in glitter? How many teaspoons would it take? Let's dive into this dazzling question and crunch some glittery numbers. First, let's estimate the size of the amusement park. A typical park covers an area of about 100 acres, which equals 4.35 million square feet. That's a lot of room for rides, games, and sparkly transformations. Next, let's talk about glitter. A single teaspoon of glitter has a coverage area of about 1 square foot when spread in a thin, even layer. That's surprisingly efficient for something so tiny and sparkly. Now, here's where the math comes in. To find out how many teaspoons of glitter we'd need, we divide the total area of the amusement park, 4.35 million square feet, by the coverage of 1 teaspoon, which is 1 square foot. When we do the math, 4.35 million divided by 1 equals 4.35 million teaspoons of glitter. That's right, you need 4.35 million teaspoons of glitter to coat the entire amusement park. But let's put this into perspective. A teaspoon of glitter weighs about 5 grams. Multiply that by 4.35 million teaspoons, and you're looking at 21.75 million grams, or 21.75 metric tons of glitter. That's as heavy as 3 African elephants. And what about the cost? A typical jar of glitter holds about 100 grams and costs around $5. To buy enough glitter for the park, you'd need 217,500 jars, setting you back over $1 million. That's a lot of sparkle and a lot of money.
Subscribe for more and drop your wildest ideas in the comments. I'll do the math for you.